Eagles roll into Carolina and get a major win. Also, we're talking about the NFL and around the NFL. Did you see last night's game? How about the Yankees? Is Garrett Cole really worth the money? We got all MLB playoff talk. Oh, and yeah, Ben Simmons is back in Philadelphia. Find out how we feel about it. More Philly in the house. Let's get it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It is great to be back with all of you today. It is the 12th of October, 2021. And as we said last week, this is the best time of the year. We got the MLB playoffs going on. The NHL kicks off tonight. Golf is underway as well in the new season. Yes, I have to bring it up as always. And of course, how could we forget our Philadelphia Eagles finding a way to get a win yesterday? As always, joined alongside my co-host, Gavin, Tony. We have a lot to dive into today. A lot to catch up on the MLB playoffs, a lot to catch up on NFL football, a lot of news in the National Football League that we have to talk about, a lot of double standards that we have to talk about today as well. This is going to be one of those days. Just got a lot to roll on, got a lot to continue with. It's just great to be back here. It's great because we have to break it all down. We're going to start off today in the NFL. Before we get to any of that, though, Gavin, welcome back. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Zach. Listen, I'll keep it short and sweet. We went mini golfing last week. I didn't like the end result of that, but the positive side of that was I actually did really well in the driving range. I think I surprised everybody out there. Me carrying a lot of heavy golf balls down there and sitting there swinging and for a drive that easily took away the pain of me losing to Zach and winning my home fields. But we're running it back sometime this week, maybe. And finally, Zach, I can't wait to talk about this. The damn Yankees and Garrett Cole, just an absolute disgrace. But Zach, how are you doing? Besides the Yankees, how are you?
I'm doing great. Look, I'm not a Yankees fan at all, so I'm not really too upset about that. I was kind of rooting for them for a minute, but I'm not a big Garrett Cole fan. We can touch base on that a little bit later. But yes, as you said, of course, big hole in one for me on like the 16th or 17th. It was already over at that point. That was kind of just the final touch of all of it. But it was a fun day. We had a good time out there. We're going to run it back this week. It's that time of the year again. Again, I can't emphasize until it gets a little bit too cold. I do love this time of year. But then again, we got to bundle up. However, with that being said, no problem with it because sports is on. They make sweatshirts, which I'm all for. That's legit all I wear this time of year. But in all seriousness, let's tie it back. Gavin, we got a lot going on right now. The Philadelphia Eagles, a team that has had a quiet year when it comes to there's been no turmoil in the organization. And look, you can go and look across the country. There are some teams right now, not to name any specific teams, but there are some teams that are having turmoil internally. The Eagles are not one of those teams at the moment. Nick Sirianni is not on the hot seat. He's been questioned for play calling. A lot of stuff has not went the Eagles' way this year at all. But, Gavin, they have 2 wins this year. They have 3 losses. 2 of those losses against teams much better than them that they were close and competitive in. One of those losses an absolute blowout to a team that's honestly a top 10 team, at least a top 10 offense in the league. Again, there are flaws that we have to talk about. The penalties were actually second half. I don't think I remember a single penalty on the Eagles in the second half. First half was like 4 or 5, which is bad. But second half, they cleaned it up. The defense was phenomenal. Steven Nelson, Darius Slay, they played to their potential. Javon Hargrave, 3rd in the league in sacks. But I do have some problems today with the Eagles offense. It's not even about the second half. They adapted really well. Let Jalen drop back there and throw the ball. Don't run the RPOs. Don't run the screens. They're not working right now, especially against aggressive defenses. When they do work, they're pretty. When a Quez Watkins screen works and he runs for 30, 40 yards or even to the house, it's going to be fun. But this isn't a college scheme. Again, I've been saying this for a while this year. I'm not panicking about this team. Any win is a surprise at this point. It's a very young team, a very young coaching staff. They are learning how to play. They're learning how to play call. And more importantly, they're going to have to learn how to win. One thing Justin Herbert said is we're learning how to win. That's the Chargers team that I'm comparing this Eagles team to from last year because that Chargers team had a lot of penalties. That Chargers team lost a lot of close games to good teams. The Eagles are yet to be there. The O-line is very banged up. However, I am at a point where I'm thinking, okay, do they try to scrap this together and go on another run, or are they at a point where they have to consider selling some of the house? And some names, just to name a few, Fletcher Cox is a name that I would not be opposed to trading, or Lane Johnson, or Brandon Brooks at this point. And here's why. This Eagles team is not good enough to compete with some of these top-notch teams for the next year or two. However, what you could do, the Eagles right now are in a very good position to have 3 first-round picks this year. One being Miami, which they traded for in the offseason. One being their very own, which is going to maybe be top 10 depending on how they do this year. And the last being the Indianapolis Colts, which despite the loss last night, Carson Wentz had a career night. We're going to talk about that in a little bit because I think Jonathan Taylor and some of those other guys had something to do with that as well. So the bottom line is this. The Eagles have the potential to have 3 first-round picks this year, a multitude of second-round picks, and potential third if they do decide trading guys like Fletcher Cox, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, guys who can't stay healthy, can't stay on the field, or are simply not being as productive as they need to be, but still have significant value. I would not make any decisions until week 8. The Eagles, if they are at a point where they look like they're going to be a competent, competitive team by the trade deadline, you hold on to those guys, you try to go on a run. However, at that point, if things still aren't going your way, then you got to start selling some parts of the house. And this offseason, no matter what, you're not drafting a quarterback. There are no quarterbacks to draft. There aren't at all. Spencer Rattler, I got to have a conversation about that because I've never been a fan of him as this hype or Heisman Trophy winning favorite. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we do have to have a little conversation about the Nittany Lions because they are not yet 100% out of the playoffs. We'll talk about them in a little bit as well. But tracing it back, there are no quarterbacks in this draft worth drafting. If I'm the Eagles, you trade Fletcher Cox and Brandon Brooks. Maybe if you move Lane Johnson or someone else on that O-line, you got 3 first-round picks this year. O-line, D-line. Boom. Replace them. They're younger guys. They're going to stay healthy. You got other guys that are up and coming. Andre Dillard had a pretty good day. Potentially, he could start sliding into that position, and you can start working on Mailata on the right side. There's a lot of things this Eagles team can do. It's still too early to tell. The bottom line is that there are still some very big tests coming up. It's a short week. They're playing Tampa Bay at home. I don't know how pretty this game is going to be. But then next week they go to a team in Las Vegas, which I'll say right now, the Las Vegas Raiders are not a good team at all. Top down, bottom up, whatever you want to say. A lot of turmoil. We'll touch base on that in a little bit. But just for all intents and purposes, the Eagles have a good chance to beat them. The Eagles have a very good chance of beating the Lions. Chargers, no. Broncos, yes. Saints, no. Giants, honestly, depending on injuries, I think yes. Jets, yes. Washington, maybe. Giants, second time. I'm not sure. Bottom line is, this schedule is getting a lot easier, Gavin. The Eagles had to play the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Panthers. All teams that, as of right now, will play playoff teams. The Panthers did not have the best day at all. But looking at it, the rest of the schedule actually starts to look a little bit easier now that Washington and New York are not really looking like as strong of a team as we thought they were. But the Eagles' offense needs to get it together. Both sides of the ball need to get it together because they've been alternating the past few weeks which part decides to be good. So the Eagles need to get that figured out. If they can find some consistency, sure, they can do something. I didn't like anything I saw this Sunday except for one thing, and that's resilience. They didn't back down at all. And Gavin, that's a reflection on the coaching staff. It was a good week for Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff. It doesn't mean the play calling was the best, but there's an expression that I do believe in. If anyone has been around football, the games are won during the week. And clearly the coaching staff got some points across during this week. The play calling wasn't the best, but the resilience this team had, which is a result of good practice this week, was able to what it was to get it done. Bottom line is the Eagles, it's not going to be a fun week for them. You're going up against a very good offense. It is a banged-up defense, though. Don't be confused. This defense is very banged up. The Eagles can score points. They're not going to win this game. They're most likely not going to cover. It's a 6.5-point line, as if that matters. A win is a win, a loss is a loss. And then they get to have a little bit of a longer break, and then they have to go out to play the Raiders. And I think that's when they can go on a run. I'm not sure they can. I don't think they're a great football team. I really don't. I think they're a very young team. They have a lot of work to do. I'm not going to show any confidence in them. There was nothing impressive on Sunday. The Panthers lost this game themselves. However, when the offense needed to, at the end of the game, they stepped up. And so did the defense. And I'm proud of that point. And honestly, there's not much else that I can add on to that. That's kind of the bottom line. That's what they needed to do. Jalen Hurts had an average day. Nothing too special. Again, once they stopped doing the screens and stopped shooting themselves in the foot, it got easier to move the ball down the field, but not much impressive. The only thing I'd say was impressive was probably Jalen Hurts' throw to Devontae Smith on that 2-point conversion. That looked like a play dead in the water. Again, Miles Sanders, 11 carries. Kenny Gainwell, 2. Still a problem. Devontae Smith had a few drops. Dallas Goedert just tested positive for COVID, so most likely not playing on Thursday night. But Devontae Smith, 7 catches for 77. Not a terrible day. Watkins, 3 for 48. Reagor, 3 for 24. He's starting to disappear again. So we'll see. Still inconclusive. Jury is still out on this team. There's a path where they sell. There's a path where they might buy. I'm not sure they were going to buy, but I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm going to be realistic. But this team, they're looking better than most people thought. They're about where I think they're going to be. And again, they're going to have to lose close games to good opponents. They're going to have to beat the opponents that they're better than.
Was like my major takeaway from this weekend was the defense was really well, especially in the second half. But it's the same problem as well for the Eagles is when you get in the red zone, you're not getting touchdowns. Darius Slay got an interception, practically handed them the ball on the 10-yard line, Zach, and you could not punch it in. And when you did punch it in, it's the same thing over again. It's the same penalties over that cost you a touchdown. You had to end up settling for 3. Now, Zach, let's go back. How many times have we seen the Eagles get in the red zone just this year alone and only end up with a field goal? Why is that? Because I'll tell you why. Penalties. This is the young teams I can understand, but it's the same countless penalties. I blame coaches. I blame Nick Sirianni for that. Because at some point, you got to be like, guys, it's the same thing every week. Every time we get in the red zone, we score. It comes back because of what? One thing only. Now, that first half looked atrocious, and Zach, I almost went to sleep on it. I mean, it did not look great. But let's be honest. I'm gonna call it this. It didn't look great. You had a horrendous snap by Jason Kelsey, which I don't know why Jalen Hurts tried to one hand scoop it. I mean, I get the attention behind it, but just pick it up. And also too, Zach, you have a guy in Miles Sanders who I'll stress this again, Zach, can easily get 1,000 yards rushing if you hand him the ball. He averaged 4.1 yards per carry last Sunday versus a pretty good Carolina defense. Now, this guy named Chubbard, did I say that right? Chubbard on
Chubbard.
Got
Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard. Okay. Well, he's Christian McCaffrey's backup guy. That's what I'm gonna call him. And he got over 20, I think it was 20 carries for 100 something yards. Zach, give Miles Sanders the ball. This is the reason why the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the division. They figured out, we have Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. He looks better. Tony Pollard looks fantastic. Run the football. Zach, running the football.
The Browns live off of that.
Say that again?
The Browns live off of that.
The Browns live off of it. That was an amazing game last week. I don't understand why Nick Sirianni just refuses to run the football, and when it does, it's very poorly. He just gives up on it earlier. Now, regarding to the defense, Zach, I think this is the best game the defense have played in the secondary. I mean, Zach, a no-fly zone. It felt like you got 3 interceptions. I know it was Sam Darnold, and he was probably seeing ghosts again in broad daylight. I don't understand that, but the secondary looked good. You put Darius Slay man-to-man on his interception. You had Avonte Maddox grab one, and Steven Nelson, who we all didn't know what he was going to contribute to the team, he comes out and gets an interception. It's like, this defense is good. The secondary is good. Jonathan Gannon is horrible sometimes. His play calling is suspect at some points.
He's young. It's early. It's very early.
It's very early, but Zach, I'm going to call how I see that at the moment. Do I think this team could be a contender team? No. Zach, they're going to be one game above 500 or one game below. And if they get above 500, it's going to be the fact of the matter is this team's resiliency, as you saw on Sunday, not giving up. Jalen Hurts actually took upon himself and scored. He actually hit the Superman when he rushed into the end zone. That's a little that's how you make enemies. But Zach, all in all, this was a great weekend. I didn't expect them to win. Actually, Zach, if you looked at my bet, I did. Guys, I did Fox Super 6 bet this weekend. I actually bet against the Eagles to cover the spread too. And Zach, it didn't work in my favor, but I'll take that. I'll lose on that one. But Zach, this wasn't a bad weekend. I mean, it's just a weekend where I think they got lucky and they won, and the resiliency of the team. But there's still a lot of holes and a lot of problems that this team has. And I don't want to come out here and say they're going to go on a run and win the division when I don't believe that. Zach, they had one of the hardest starts in the NFL this year. You had the Chiefs, you had the Cowboys, you had
49ers.
The
Panthers, who ended up being a good team, and the Buccaneers.
And now you had the Buccaneers this Thursday. But Zach, once this back half of the season comes out, I think they're going to start winning more. But this is great to see what we have going on right now, and the future is going to look amazing as long as you do it right. Don't hang on to old players. Zach, you said last week Just maybe you move guys like Fletcher Cox, Lane Johnson, and Brandon Brooks. I kind of gave you a side eye, like I don't know yet, but I agree with you. Let's rebuild. You can still get great value picks for those guys. I know you can get at least a second,
And you get
and
their
maybe
salaries off your table.
you can get a late second or early second, and maybe even a late first, Zach, for some of them, depending on who's desperate at the time. But please, by all means, don't go out and get yourself a quarterback. Don't get anyone from Clemson that's a quarterback. Don't get Spencer Rattler. Don't get him either. I mean, don't just stay away. You
Bauer's
got
going to enter
yourself a guy.
the transfer portal.
You got yourself a guy, and Jalen Hurts. Roll with him. Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts is not no Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but that potential is there that they can do that.
We're going to find out. Look, bottom line, some things were impressive. The defense and special teams deserves all the praise. That's 2/3 of the team. The offense did what it needed to. So despite all the holes that we can poke, a win is a win. We will take it. Enjoy it while you can because they play the Buccaneers. Lincoln Financial Field, Thursday night. Most likely doing a pregame live. I will not be in attendance for the game. I will be having
you're not going.
family taking the other half of the tickets, so I will not be in attendance. The only home game this year I will not be at, but perhaps we'll do something for it. Some pregame. Everybody stay tuned for that. It should be a fun game. We'll see. Tom Brady's been on fire, though, so it's going to be a shootout.
40, 41, 42, 43, 90?
44?
44, 90? It don't matter. He's old.
Hold on. He is 44. Turned 44 in August.
Zach, I joke with people who eat avocados, but I guess avocado ice cream really makes people look really young. So maybe
surprisingly, I've yet to try it.
You have to try it.
No, I haven't. I've not tried it.
You can try it. I'm not trying it. That's for you.
I'll give it a try. But all right, so that takes care of the Philadelphia Eagles. A interesting game. It ended good. The second half. If you look at the second half alone, Gavin, they won the game 15-3. So take it out. It is Jalen Hurts, 22 of 37, 198, no touchdowns, a pick. Jalen Hurts did get 2 rushing touchdowns, though, on the day, which makes up for it. Darius Slay, 2 interceptions, Steven Nelson with 1. So with that being said, let's take our time to do what we do every single Tuesday around the NFL. We take some time, a sentence or less, to describe each NFL game, starting with the NFC West, Rams, Seahawks. Seahawks are done. Russell Wilson's their whole team. That about does it for their season. No surprise there. They've been a team for a few years walking on thin ice, and Russell Wilson, who has not missed a game in his career, finally goes down.
That defense is awful. Matt Stafford is he's not my MVP pick, but Zach, if that Rams offense can keep up with that defense, they are a team to be messed with.
Number 1 defense last year, that Rams team. New York Jets, Atlanta Falcons. Didn't even watch, honestly. But Kyle Pitts had a breakout game, 119 yards, touchdown. The Jets looked good at the end. They came back, almost pulled off an upset. Zach Wilson starting to turn it around. But again, still too early to tell on his case. That Jets team is still coming back from a lot of dysfunction. Robert Saleh and that staff still has a lot of work to do.
A lot of work indeed to do as a rookie coordinator, and I think a rookie head coach with a rookie quarterback. Don't expect anything. Jets fans, just be patient. I guess you could be patient. I'm not sure.
All right, next game on my list: Packers, Bengals. Not really that much of a surprise. Bengals are on the radar. They're doing what they have to. They're beating the better teams, the teams that they're better than, and they're hanging around the teams that are better than them. Mason Crosby did have 3 missed field goals, so it should have ended earlier in the game. The Bengals also had a miss in overtime for a field goal, so could have went different. Bottom line is the Bengals are turning it around quickly.
Zach, the only game I got right this week in my bet. This is the only game I got right, especially it's spreading everything. Outside of that, keep Joe Burrow healthy. He will be a problem. Listen, Zach, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future. But you got to keep him healthy. You got to keep Joe Burrow healthy. He can't take a hit like he did on Sunday, and he spent, 2 days in the hospital with a throat puncture or a throat contusion.
Throat contusion.
You got to keep him healthy. You got to keep him upright.
Yeah, no doubt. That's for sure. Next game, Lions, Vikings. The Lions were up late. Another late surge for them. They've been doing it all year. And they've lost by twice. They lost by 50-plus yard field goals. And Dan Campbell came out crying, talking to the press. Gavin, do you like to see that from an NFL head coach?
I do, but guess what? It means absolutely nothing to me if your players aren't crying either. Zach, I feel for the man. I like Dan Campbell. Bite some kneecaps, right? I guess that's gonna be my saying. Bite some kneecaps, Zach. They had a rough start. They had to get an unlucky start. They've been around every team. I mean, think about it. You should have a win, but Justin Tucker 66 yards. You could have another win versus San Francisco, but that one went away. It's like they just come close. And they fall short. Their week is coming, but Dan Campbell is just relax. It's too early to get emotional. It really is.
I mean, they have the pieces. They got to put them together. Next game, Patriots, Texans. Davis Mills, the best ever passer rating as a rookie quarterback against Bill Belichick. That's crazy. However, the Patriots did come in. Game-winning field goal. Mac Jones gets another win. And coming up a thriller against the Buccaneers, the Patriots are able to get their second win on the season. They're now 2-3.
I didn't even watch this game, Zach. There was no point. But Mac Jones continues to improve, and I like what I saw from Davis Mills, though. And perfect pass rate versus Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick continues to destroy rookie quarterbacks, but outside of that, Zach, Davis Mills has some upside to him, just in case if Deshaun Watson has to go.
Quite potentially, Saints, Washington. Washington's defense is not good at all. They're same old Washington, new name, new whatever. Went to the playoffs last year, but there's not much from last year. They did not make that step up that everybody expected.
Jameis Winston needs to be consistent. No 30 for 30 this year. Please no.
I think he only has one or two interceptions on the year. I'm going to double check that.
He has more than one or two, I think.
He has on the year, he has 12 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Pretty good ratio so far. It's better than
without Michael Thomas, yes. But I'm just saying, limit that, and the Saints will win more games.
And we'll take a look too. So next game, Titans Jags. The Jags had too much turmoil to have any chance this week. Titans take an easy win.
Just fire Urban Meyer already. This is insane. Just get rid of him. He doesn't care to be there. It's a circus down there, Zach. It really is.
Circus and Duval teams just a few years ago in the AFC Championship. All right, the Battle of Florida, the Dolphins and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers taking care of business, easy money. Tom Brady, 5 touchdown passes, over 400 yards. They're red hot coming into Philly. We'll talk about that later. But Miami's defense got absolutely shredded in this one, and Miami is off to a rough start.
What happened to that tough defense that Brian Flores had with Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, and the crew? You guys should be able to stop somebody. But outside that, Zach, it is Tom Brady, avocado ice cream. I guess we all have to try it if we want to look young at the age of 40-something.
Next game on our list, Broncos, Steelers. The Steelers having a good week. Juju Smith-Schuster out for the season, though, with a shoulder injury. Both teams pretty mediocre. Steelers were the better team, not by much, but not very impressive.
Najee Harris had 100 yards rush on the ground and a rushing touchdown. Let that sink in. They didn't have a 100-yard rusher last year at all. They should have had one. Zach, it's going to get up for him, but I still don't believe in the Steelers. And Teddy Bridgewater, you guys got to go back to the drawing board.
Without a doubt, again, another poor showing for the Broncos after a 3-0 start. They've lost 2 straight. The Bears and the Raiders. The Raiders coming into this game with a lot of fire, to say the least, and it's only gotten worse. We'll talk about that in a minute. But 20-9 final score, Chicago Bears. Justin Fields 12 of 20, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. But the more of the conversation, Khalil Herbert, 18 carries, 75 yards, 4.2 on the ground. Interesting game overall. Not the best effort. Derek Carr came back to earth, 22 of 35 for 206 yards and an interception. The Raiders, once again, are frauds. Both teams, Bears and Raiders, 3-2. And, of course, now John Gruden resigning as their head coach after some emails came out. I'll keep it short and sweet on that. There's not many. I mean, Gruden wasn't just fired for that or didn't just resign because of that. He has not been off to the best start with that team. They were starting to put some pieces together, but at the same time, there's no such thing as defending. There is, I guess I'd call it forgiveness is the only thing that could exist in this case, and they chose not to. And it's nobody's place to say, yeah, I agree or yeah, I disagree. I think that this is a decision between the Raiders and John Gruden. I think anybody watching this or looking at those emails, that is not how you get points across. That is not how you communicate with people. It's not how you interact with other human beings, especially for a coach that interacts with a lot of players from different backgrounds. I think it's very lack of cultural, very lack of just overall awareness of what's going on around you. And Gavin, we talked about this off the show. This is permanent ink when you write emails. Could you have changed in the last 10 years? Yeah, you could have. And at that point, do you deserve forgiveness? But possibly. But apparently there were more emails dating as most recent as 2018 that continued to pile against John Gruden. So it's in the best interest of the Raiders to cut ties and I guess run it back at this point. I'm not sure what the Raiders are going to go into as a direction. This is a pretty big move that will affect this franchise.
Before I get into that, I just want to say something on the game aspect first. Zach, I liked your tweet a couple of days ago. Someone decided to use their brain today. And Matt Nagy woke up and said, wait a minute, Justin Fields is way better than Andy Dalton. Zach, Justin Fields continues to show why he should have started from day one. Run the football, makes it easier for him, looks good. Had a scary moment where he hyperextended his knee, came out to be okay. The Raiders. Zach, I always say it's not about how you start, it's how you finish, Zach. And I want to touch on the situation. First of all, Zach, before I get into the email side of it, John Gruden wasn't a good football coach. He inherited a team a couple years for his Super Bowl. I think it was either Tampa or it was wherever he went with Tampa. He inherited a team that was Super Bowl ready that just took him over the hump. Having saw that, ladies and gentlemen, don't say things that are highly offensive. Now, what I mean by that is don't come out and say, X, Y, and Z, because you never know when those words can become back to use to you. Zach, we talked about it last night. We said, be careful what you say. If you don't, because you never know no more. You think emails are sacred and you can't see it. Emails can get leaked at any moment. Old tweets can be found at any moment. That's why you just don't say things like that. And I'm really disappointed in John Gruden on numerous levels. The apology, and I'm not just going to say John Gruden, I'm just going to say everybody in the Raiders organization. He shouldn't have been allowed to coach on that Sunday. I think that's where the NFL were upset about that. All that came out and he still was on the sideline that Sunday. Zach, I understand that comes out on a Friday night. It's kind of hard to pull somebody out, but the assistants, everybody knew the game plan. Now, you could make a mistake, right? And that was a long time ago, the first of the email. But you could say, well, things change. But Zach, you said it best. Most recently, you can't come back from that. And we're at a time now where you can't say those things because those things are really offensive to others. And it seemed like it was like I didn't get a chance to actually read into it. It sounded like he just had a problem with a lot of things, but you would never knew that. And I don't know if you got a chance. Zach, I know you had a class this morning, but I don't know if you got a chance to watch Keyshawn Johnson, what he had to say.
I watched a portion of it, or most of it. I watched most of it.
He said John Gruden is not a great leader. He said John Gruden is one of those guys who is all love in front of you, but as soon as you turn the corner, it's this, that, and a third behind you. So, Zach, who knows? There's probably gonna be more coming out in the next couple of days. John Gruden's career is done. It's done. And for those who try to defend John Gruden in this instance, that just makes you look just as bad as him. I mean, the stuff.
There are circumstances. Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are circumstances in life that what you do. Everybody, first of all, every single human being to walk this earth has done indefensible actions. It's about what you do next. And if John Gruden had a team that was a two-time Super Bowl winning team, or they started off this year 5-0 or something like that, or didn't have emails dating back as early as just 3 years ago, not just 10 years ago. That's one of the arguments. It's been 10 years, and I get that. But, there's a such thing as indefensible actions. And every single one of us have committed indefensible actions. It's about what you do after that. And according to the Raiders organization, which in my opinion, that's the only opinion that affected how John Gruden would his fate would turn out. They determined that what he's done after that was not enough to retract what he's said in the past. And I mean that's the simplest I can keep it, honestly, and that's my opinion.
I mean, Zach, if you just go into it, I just find it really disgusting. I hope I feel bad. Carl, and one of his comments was toward a specific community, and one of his players is one of the active gay players in the NFL. And for your coaches, I mean, think about that. How would you feel as a player if you were that specific player and you hear all this stuff? Would you want to play for him anymore?
No, I think I wouldn't want to. That's certainly a tough,
and that's a problem. And yeah. Go ahead.
It's not about being sensitive or being soft or cancel culture, because some people can overreact. But again, you got to put yourself in other people's perspectives. And if they say, look, this wasn't that much of an impact, but if a coach is someone that you trust. It's someone that you have to look up to, and trust is going to be in the best interest of you. If they appear not to be, that's unfortunate. And John Gruden will now pay those consequences. Raiders are moving in the right direction as far as that is concerned. As far as the team is concerned, this is pretty impactful. I'm not sure what it's going to do, but
this is detrimental.
But that's kind of my final statement on the Raiders, Gavin. Unless you have anything else, we will continue to move on. And again, as we talk about, it's rare right now, just due to how busy we are talking about sports, that we get a chance to just sit down and talk about some of these real life issues. But that's, it's always good to address them and discuss our feedback.
Zach, I'll end it right here, and then I'll reiterate it at the end. Just be kind to people. You don't need to come out here and say blasphemous things and offensive things to others. Okay, there's no need for that. All right, we had enough of that last summer, Zach. Trust me, we seen it, and for our very own eyes, we were locked in the house. There's no need to do that. We don't need to go backwards, and we need to move forward. I hope everybody learns this as a learning system, and if you are as a learning tool to maybe recheck yourself. If you're one of those people that falls in the lines that he was, maybe it's time for you to look at yourself and say, well, wow, he just lost his job. And it's like they're gonna call or resign, but let's be honest. The owner went there and said, you gotta go.
He was fired.
He was fired. Now, Zach, like I said, this is a perfect time for anyone that just needs to recheck themselves and revise. Zach, I'm gonna say revise and re-edit. Maybe this is a good time to look at that. Look at yourself in the mirror.
Again, best thing you can do from studying history is to learn from it. We'll keep it at that now. Moving on as we continue with around the NFL. Browns, Chargers, Baker Mayfield's getting a lot of heat. I don't know why. He put up 42 points, played a pretty good game. There's no loser here. I mean, there is, but there really isn't a loser. But Justin Herbert is a franchise quarterback, and then some. He's a phenomenal player.
Justin Herbert's a bad boy. And the fact that he now has weapons, he's more comfortable. He has a coach that can actually close games. Austin Eckler, we have to start realizing him as a stud now, Zach. I look, this Chargers defense is phenomenal. They're only gonna get better as long as they stay healthy. This was a team that was in the playoffs 2 years ago before Philip Rivers left.
They were this close to being the 1 seed.
They were this close. And finally, Zach, I don't understand the hate on Baker Mayfield today. He lost. He lost a very competitive game.
Someone's got to lose a shootout. That's my.
That's how it goes.
And next game here, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, 44-20. Must be something about this game. For starters, stop putting this on semi-prime time. No one wants to watch that. But second of all, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, looking for the best for their health. Both suffering injuries, not as severe for Saquon as they originally thought, which is good news, but will still miss a few weeks. Dallas Cowboys continue to roll. They have had some tests. I'm not going to shoot them down today or really put them up too much. I've got to wait and see. 4-1 on the season, only losses to this Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 1, and they were very competitive. Dallas is a good team, and they bounced back nicely this year so far.
Zach, the one thing I like watching about the Dallas Cowboys, and that's pretty hard for me to say because I really don't like the Cowboys at all, but it's Trayvon Diggs. That's one of the most exciting players in the NFL right now. And people still like to throw to him. Now, cut the breaks, you can say Kadarius Toney had himself a day, but Zach, I mean, it doesn't matter when you go punch somebody.
He had himself a day, and then he almost got suspended.
I mean, Zach, you have 100+ yards and a touchdown. You turn around and punch somebody in the face. Talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. But all jokes aside, Zach, this game was it was a blowout from the start. There was no chance for the Giants. The injury bug really swept them. But it was nice to see Dak Prescott. I think it was a year or almost a year from that exact moment since a graphic injury last year. So I was good.
I think it was today last year.
As an Eagles fan, it pains me to say that, but it was nice to see Dak Prescott smile yesterday. Or the other day. It was nice to see Dak Prescott smile.
All right, yeah, again, Cowboys 44, Giants 20. Next game on our list, 49ers, Cardinals 17-10. Weirdest 5-0 team. They don't feel like the best team in football. I think the Buffalo Bills are the best team in football. But you got to respect them. They're there. They're here. And again, it's similar to the Raiders situation. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And so keep going. They beat the Rams. Keep battling. Keep being tested. Kyrie Irving's looking great. Team's coming together nicely.
The test is coming soon, Zach. I believe they have Tampa coming up at some point in the season. But This team is offensively gifted, and the defense doesn't get enough respect with Buda Baker and Isaiah Simmons and Murphy Jr. in the crew, Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. This team is legit, but it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. That Cliff Kingsbury has a lot to prove in my eyes. I'll keep it like that. And it was Trey Lance's debut. There was nothing really to rave about.
That not the best on that sideline either for San Francisco. With just unfortunate with the amount of injuries that they've gotten over the years. I think they have a smart staff there. They just keep getting hurt. Next game on our list, Bills, Chiefs. Chiefs, this is why you don't pay a guy an extremely high contract, because you have nowhere else to spend your money. I don't care. Even the best quarterback in the world is not good enough to overcome that. They should make the playoffs. They should make it to the AFC Championship. They really should be there. But they are not the best team in the AFC, not in the slightest. Patrick Mahomes looks human. He really does. And even worse than that, Gavin,
What's
their
that?
defense is horrendous. Now listen, they beat the Browns week 1. Very good team. They lost to the Ravens on, was it a missed field goal from Harrison Butker? I think it was. So they really should have been 2-0. They lose to the Chargers on a Patrick Mahomes interception, a rarity. They beat the Eagles. I mean, they're really close to being undefeated this year so far. And they got Washington coming up, but then they got to play Tennessee. They got to play Dallas. They got to play Vegas, who gives them trouble every year. And they got to play Green Bay. I'm not sure right now. Their defense is really bad. It really is bad. And that's why you got to measure out your money appropriately. Clyde Edwards-Helaire suffering an injury. They're not a running team, so it's not a big deal. But again, at this point, Mahomes will get back to his top tier level. He's looked good for the most part this year, but he has some struggles for them, and they got absolutely decimated by the clearly superior team in the Buffalo Bills.
The defense is awful, Zach. They're giving up almost 30 points per game. It feels like the Eagles are able to get a 30 piece on them. The Bills definitely dropped 30 on them. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens had 30 on them. So it's buy one get. Look, if you win a 30 piece, go get him. Now I don't understand how you have one of the greatest offenses and your defense is like that. Now ain't about spending money. It's like you go against that offense in practice. You're telling me you don't tighten up. And I like how Tyrann Mathieu throws a hissy fit. Why don't you do something? Do something. I get it, Zach. It's not, defense is not just a one person thing. But for Tyrann Mathieu always doing this and throwing hissy fit, I don't see you doing anything to better this defense. They need to figure it out, Zach. I don't have them going to the AFC Championship at this rate. I'm gonna give them respect.
They're not even the best team. They're not even going to win the division at this point. They're going to have to get a wild card.
Not a chance. Not a chance. If Justin Herbert plays the way he does, not a chance.
Without a doubt. All right. Again, that was the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, 38-20 final score in Kansas City. Final game, and man, oh man, what a game it was. The Colts and the Ravens. Carson Wentz, 25 of 35, 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, 135 passer rating, his best game of his career. The other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson, 37 of 43, 442 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Also adds 62 yards on the ground. He has jumped to the favorite to be MVP. I mean, I'll keep it simple. The Ravens won that game, and they looked very good. They needed to be lights out in that fourth quarter. They scored 16 points. They outscored by a score of 22-15 in those final 2 quarters. But at the same time, they also missed 2 field goals. Rodrigo Blankenship missed 2 field goals. One was arguably a chip shot. The other one, a game winner, pulled it to the left.
One was blocked.
And then the first one was blocked. So they really should have won that game. They did enough as a team. They were not aggressive late. They did not go for a touchdown. They instead went for the field goals and ultimately didn't pay off.
Zach, Lamar Jackson is my MVP through 5 weeks at the moment. I'm going to just look. The offense gets decimated with injuries, his wide receiver drops, and he's still able to figure out how to win games. Now, you could argue Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, but those are my top 3. Herbert, Murray, and Jackson. Outside those 3, Zach, they were down tremendous last night. And get the ball to your playmaking tight end, your all-pro tight end. Mark Andrews had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns yesterday. Lamar Jackson threw for 4 touchdowns. And it's like he had the highest completion rate on Monday night. And that's being a lot of respectable passing quarterbacks.
Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, the weapons are starting to show up.
Sammy Watkins showed up. Zach, imagine if J.K. Dobbins doesn't go down. What would this record really be? Zach, I had the Baltimore Ravens, and I'll tell you this. I had the Baltimore Ravens somehow winning the division. outlasting and winning division?
We're going to see right now between them, Cleveland, and dare I say Cincinnati. Take a look at the standings. Ravens are 4-1, Bengals 3-2, Browns 3-2, Steelers 2-3. Honestly, every team is still in the running. It's way too early in the year to tell. We'll figure it out. But overall, Carson Wentz, all I know is he had 98% of snaps so far, and he looked good last night, which is good for Eagles fans. Not much else on him. Jalen Hurts is our quarterback, so we don't dwell too much.
I'm disappointed. But I'm really disappointed, Zach. And sorry to cut you off. I'm just disappointed because
they missed 2 field goals that they should have made.
I understand that, but I understand it, but Carson Wentz is bad. And what I mean by bad, and you can't. I'm not talking about last night. Last night was not his fault. Rodrigo Blankenship, but the other games, the interception on the shovel pass. Zach,
that's his only pick this year.
Only surprisingly, but Zach, this team was a playoff team with Phillip Rivers last year, and why are they winning? This time last year they were 3-2, and now they're what 1-5, 1-4. So Zach,
I mean, they also played. They played the Titans, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Ravens. All teams that with Russell Wilson, they will be playoff teams. Now listen to who they play now: Texans, banged up 49ers, Titans at home, Jets, Jaguars, Bills, Buccaneers, Texans, Patriots, Cardinals, Raiders, Jets. They should win all but 2 of those games.
There's a chance.
There's a chance that they've done this in the past. They've gotten hot late in the year. I don't know if they're going to get hot. I frankly don't care. All I care is that Carson Wentz keeps playing, but he had a career night last night, and I think this is a step in the right direction for him and the Colts.
I'm just saying, it's not a good start. It's just not a good start right now. That's all.
It's not, indeed. But Marlon Mack, who was supposed to be traded, had a good night last night. Jonathan Taylor had a great night. So, with that being said, as we roll up at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, coming up after this, the diva of Philly is back. And man, oh man, does this make this everlasting relationship complicated. Stay tuned. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. I'm trying to get some recent update. I'm trying to see if there's any post update. Ben Simmons completed his physical. Is unknown if he's going to play or not. But Ben Simmons is in Philadelphia. He has arrived. It doesn't shock me. I don't know what the next step is. He did meet with Daryl Morey. He did meet with Doc Rivers. I don't know how that went. He could play for this team. He could be on a minutes restriction until they find a trade partner, similar to the Anthony Davis situation a few years ago. But the thing about Philadelphia, the funny thing is, as much as our fans can really get on a player and
we still love him
and boo and say everything they want, he can go out there and prove us all wrong, and we'll love him very quickly. Very quickly, we can go back and love him. But at the same time, it's not going to be forgotten. Ben Simmons, yes, it's money is going to become an issue for him. Sixers went hardball on him. Rich Paul pretty much probably said to Ben, you got to go at this point. You really got to. You got to show up. You got to do something. He has a client in Tyrese Maxey that is very happy in Philadelphia, and maybe that'll help. I'm not sure at this point. Hopefully, they'll start to rekindle that relationship. I don't know if it's going to be, but all we know at this moment is Ben Simmons is in Philly. He has done his COVID test. He's done his physical, and he is here. He has a 5 more day period. Has to record 1 more negative COVID test, I believe, and then he can officially join the team.
So this is what needs to happen. Daryl Morey, Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons, they need to all have a sit down talk, because and not really more so Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers, those 4 need to have a sit down talk, because things were said between the star player and to Ben Simmons. And Zach, I'll be honest with you. I told you earlier that he's here. All right. Is there a chance that he wants to play? We don't know yet. Zach, we're waiting for Woj just like everybody else is, to see what's going on. But I will say this: Ben Simmons, whether it was Rich Paul telling him to come here, which I think it probably was, you're here. And if there's one thing I know about the city is play your hardest. Okay, you could still be garbage, right, Zach? You could still be average Ben, AB, right? And do the same thing you've been doing before. But it's all about effort. We'll pick up on effort real fast. Cause you know why? We had guys like Allen Iverson who literally got 50 injuries a night, came back the next night, and still willed this Sixers team to a finals. That's Zach would have been an NBA champion if it wasn't for Kobe and Shaq. And by the way, Zach, I do want to bring up something about Allen Iverson a little bit later if I can. Um, just be effort, show effort. If you want to come in here and prove us wrong, you will get booed your first game because Zach, that's how it always goes. All right, you throw this hissy fit, you throw this tantrum. You don't think the hurt party it can't say nothing? We're allowed to boo, but if you want us to stop booing, shut us up. Come out here and be an all-star. Be at the all-star you're supposed to be. Be the number one pick that you're supposed to come out here and be. Don't be average Ben. Don't be the Ben Simmons that pouts and complain. Like I said it to you off the show, and I'll say it here. This is the first summer where it was not. We didn't look at Joel Embiid and get mad at him. This is the first summer we said, it wasn't Joel Embiid's fault because he did everything he was supposed to do. It's Ben Simmons' fault because when you get blamed, that means we care. We want you to do better. People asking you to do a jump shot. I'm not even asking you to do that no more. Just don't be as bad as you were last year. Be better. Like this team has the opportunity to be great. They were the number one seed last year,
and now with Brooklyn's drama,
they
could become the top team in the East.
And real quick, Zach,
that's how good Ben Simmons is, and I've been very adamant about this. I think that we can get a better option, but Ben Simmons joining this team now, and if he plays as well as he did last year during the season, the Sixers have the best record in the Eastern Conference. Right now, they're a 5 seed at best. Now they're potentially 1, 2, or 3 with Milwaukee and Brooklyn up there as well.
And my final 2 points, Zach, is one, talk it out. You're old enough. I don't want to hear from Rich Paul. I said this last week. I'll say it again. I don't want to hear from Rich Paul. I want to hear from you. You are now here. You are here. Rich Paul is not here that we know of, but you are here. You came here. You didn't tell anyone you were coming. You just showed up here. You went to the stadium last night. You got your COVID test and you went back home. I guess you're still trying to sell your house. But Zach, you are here. You talk. Joel Embiid is here. You guys can talk. Whoever you have a problem with, talk it out. You're old enough. You're a grown man. You guys problem solve for yourself. If Rich Paul talks again, I'm going to lose my mind. Because you know why? Because I haven't heard anything from Ben Simmons. That's the problem. Speak. You're here now. Talk it out. You met with ownership today, supposedly. You met with ownership and Doc Rivers. Well, not management and Doc Rivers, I should say. And finally, it's like my last point has nothing to do with Ben Simmons. I want to go back to the Allen Iverson report where he said he has not even an input into the Sixers organization, like he's not a part of it. Why not? I feel if Allen Iverson was here, a lot of things would have been differently by now. Especially Zach with input, where he's not player development, but player finder, whatever the name is for it. He needs to be part of this organization. He needs to be a consultant. He needs to be something. All right. This guy is technically he is the answer. He is the face. It's like I don't consider no one else the face of the Philadelphia 76ers except for Allen Iverson. Because that's the first thing that comes to mind. When you think of Sixers, you think of Allen Iverson. Now, some of the older generation will say, well, Dr. J, but you remember for Brooklyn years. So I really think of Allen Iverson as the Sixers face of the franchise. And it's absolutely crazy that he's not a part of it in any sort of way. That's just my feeling. I don't know if you heard the reports about that or not.
Yeah, I did. I read a little bit about his comments. That's something I'll keep an eye on. But just one final thing. I think this is hysterical. I would love to just see this text message conversation between Doc Rivers and Elton Brand. Quote, hey, Ben's outside the building. He needs to come in and take his COVID test. I mean, that's something to laugh at, in my opinion. Not much has been funny in this situation, but hey, Ben's outside. All right, I guess he's here because he wants to make money.
Can we take a bet real quick? I something tells me this will be worked out. And if
for now,
it's going to be worked out just for a season. Now, if James Harden, which I know we got to get into Brooklyn, if James Harden tests the free agency waters, I'm okay with Ben Simmons leaving.
Well, when I would wait until Damian Lillard's officially unhappy and request a trade. I would wait till then.
One of those two: Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, James Harden. One of those three.
One of them you can guarantee a hit, in my opinion. Finally, on this topic, we do have to speed it up a little bit. We only have a few minutes left, but Kyrie Irving will not be reporting to not by his choice, by the organization's choice, until he's fully eligible to play in all their games. I agree. You can't have him in and out of the lineup. It just messes up too much. I'm not gonna tell Kyrie what he can or can't do. It's his job to do it, though. No words on, not much of a comment on it. I like Kyrie the player in a way. I've been very critical of him off the court. I said last year Brooklyn would self-destruct because of some of the personalities in their locker room, and this is kind of part of the problem to an extent, at least with Kyrie Irving, who is not his first rodeo of causing issues.
Zach, I think I owe you an apology because what is the first thing you always said to me? Kyrie Irving is a head case and he's a cancer in the locker room. And I guess you could say I'm the number one defender of Kyrie Irving, especially when it comes to the show. Zach, you are absolutely right. He is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those who may not know, it's over the vaccination status of Kyrie Irving, him not getting it. I understand it's his body, his choice. I'm not going to force that. Okay, I don't do politics, ladies and gentlemen. I don't do none of that. All right, I'm just a sports guy. Now, having said that, this is becoming a problem for your teammates. This is where it starts to bother me because I'm a big Kyrie Irving fan. I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan. Zach, Kevin is better than LeBron James. That's how I feel. I love James Harden as well. All right. When these guys are sitting there talking about, well, we're going to meet with management to discuss. What Kevin Durant says that, and James Harden comes out and says, well, I've never been a free agent before. I'm like test the water. Brooklyn went all in to win. That means you included, and you're not there. Now
they get just Kevin Durant by the end of next season.
It might just be Kevin Durant at the end of next season. And it's like I find it crazy how the NBA went all last year playing with risky, not having vaccination or not, and to now this year. I understand it's legislative and through the city and stuff, but it's a little bit crazy. Don't you just think that like there's got to be a way for these guys to play? I'm not sure, but at this point, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, trade Kyrie Irving, get something for him. Any team that wants
if someone wants him.
That's another problem. I was talking to Dom about it. Dom said I would trade him. I don't disagree with him, but it's who wants to deal with that. Time and time again, it's Kyrie Irving last year. And I mean, he's like, look how unprofessional this is. He texts Steve Nash and says, "Hey, I'm out." And then no one hears from him. He shows up at I get it, it's a family birthday party, dancing, and we're like, you got a job to do. You get paid to do these things. It's like it's just crazy to me how all this plays out. I don't know how it's going to end, but I do know a domino's going to fall. Whether Kyrie retires, he trades, or he caves in and gets what the NBA wants him to do. So I don't know. But if it's starting to become a problem to Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Steve Nash, let that sink in. You're the number one title odds, and this is going on, and the season hasn't even started yet. And Kyrie Irving's also losing money too, by the way.
I got only one response to that.
What's that?
Late show.
No, Zach. Listen, we don't want to hear about no late show. You guys are the oldest.
No drama in LA. LA's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, wait till they start losing. Everybody else's fault, but your best friend.
Yeah, we'll see. In all seriousness, coming up after this, the MLB, the Navy Blue Pinstripes knocked out in the first round.
It's so
Giancarlo Stanton versus the Green Monster. We'll touch base on all of that. There's a lot going on. One series is closing up right now. Break it all down after this. Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this. All right, let's break it down. Major League Baseball playoffs, the one-game winner-take-all wild card format. And both home teams taking home the wins. New York Yankees falling to the Boston Red Sox 6-2. Garrett Cole, 2 innings plus pitch, did not record an out in his 3rd inning. Cardinals, Dodgers winning 3-1, a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th for them. We'll touch on this quickly, Gavin, as we are running out of time. But, yeah, Garrett Cole, I think he's a great pitcher. I think that he kind of got a little bit carried away with Spider Tack and that abrupt stop. He did not have time to adapt to, but I think as a good pitcher, he'll readapt and become a better pitcher next year. Time will tell, though. He had a pretty bad year after the enforcements, but I think a lot of pitchers struggle with that, and they're going to have to take the offseason to adapt and adjust. So I'm not too worried about the Yankees. They keep spending money, though. They were shaky from the start. They got really hot in the middle. But again, injuries continue to kill them. And Giancarlo Stanton should have had 2 home runs in that game. But only one stadium in Major League Baseball are those not home runs, and that is in Fenway. The Green Monster swallowed them up. So overall, Red Sox, great. I mean, their manager coming back from his suspension, that was kind of all they needed.
That's
really.
the X factor right there.
That's really all they needed. JD Martinez rising to the occasion, a couple of nice prospects as well, and a couple of nice transactions from the Mookie Betts trade that are paying off now for this team. We thought they were crazy back then, but they're starting to pay off for Boston, and they're in a much better position than the counterpart of that trade, the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, wild card games, Gavin, recap them for me. Red Sox beating the New York Yankees and Dodgers beating the Cardinals.
Looks like I'll touch on the Dodgers real quick. It was pure dominance offensively. Adam Wainwright had a great showing, but then offensive power the Dodgers overcame, and it was too much for the Cardinals to handle. The Cardinals will be back next year, I do believe that. But the Dodgers are down big time tonight, so they need to get a serious win or it's over. And to recap the Yankees, Zach, how much is Garrett Cole contract? It's in $300 million, right?
Something up there.
You get paid for moments like this.
Highest.
You get paid for moments like this to get tore up in what, 2 1/3, something like that. It was short. Zach, it was so short. I went downstairs and I came back up and he was gone. I mean, you couldn't make this up. It was Casper the Friendly Ghost. You never saw him. Now, the Red Sox, on the other hand, last year they were a horrible team, basement team. And what's the difference this year? They got the X Factor back. They got Alex Cora back. They got the guy that puts them in situations that be good. They're improving of Alex Verdugo. You get Kike Hernandez, fresh off his championship. Zach, this team is scary good. Chris Sale needs to wake up and get back to his former self. But this team can make some damages. It looks like it's probably going to be Astros and Red Sox. But I'm interested to see how this goes from forward.
The battle of the cheaters. I like it. In all seriousness, yes, now we can bring ourselves a little more up to speed. The Astros are expected to beat the White Sox today. They're up 7-1 in the 9th inning. So, yeah, I think that's kind of a done deal. I might be misspoken, but it's unlikely they come back. Astros will be winning that, and they will go on to play the Red Sox, who had a very impressive series against a very good Rays team. So ALCS between the Houston Astros, Boston Red Sox. I've been kind of playing devil's advocate all year. I've been saying it. I kind of want to see the Astros run it back. I want to see them be able to get there without cheating. And finally, I don't even know the guy's name on the White Sox. These teams, especially the Astros, are watched very closely. They're not cheating. They're just a good team. You know, don't be mad because you're giving up bad pitches. I don't even know who said it, but Dusty Baker with the best response.
It was Kopech, maybe.
But Dusty Baker's funniest response, I didn't even know who that guy was before those comments. So.
You know who Dusty Baker was?
Who?
Dusty Baker, or the guy?
Baker. He said I didn't even know who that pitcher was until I heard the comments. Classic response from the Astros manager.
I'm a big fan of Dusty Baker, Zach. That's the only real reason why I'm not going all in on the Astros. But listen, the White Sox this whole entire series, Zach, never had a starting pitcher go more than 3 innings. Lance Lynn in the first game got tore up horrendously. I was watching today. Carlos Rodon didn't last for very long either. So Zach, this is on them. This is on them 100%. And the Astros aren't cheating. They're just a better team. That's all.
They were in 2017. Why they cheated, I'm not sure. But should have been punished more. We know we've talked about that and whatnot. But again, bygones be bygones. We'll have to discuss that more in the future.
Every time Altuve gets hit, that's a punishment, I think.
The next two, or George Springer, the next 2 games here on our list kind of round out the National League. The Braves have a 2-1 lead over the Brewers. It is 0-0 in Atlanta. The Braves can win it today and go back to the NLCS for the 2nd straight year. And they could play either the same team as last year, the Dodgers, or the Giants. Gavin, do the Braves get it done today, or do the Brewers stay alive?
I think it's over for the Brewers. Zach, the offense has not been there this whole entire time. You had your monster in Burns, Peralta, Woodruff. It hasn't mattered, Zach. They just haven't showed up. The offense they haven't gotten anything. And Jock Peterson's been the X factor for Atlanta. So I think it's over today. If it's not over today, then it's over the next time they play.
Right. I mean, the Braves started off slow. Again, their bullpen was struggling. They had a big injury, big blow to Ronald Acuna, but they went and got Jorge Soler, who's not playing today due to a positive COVID test, and they also got Jock Peterson, who's been phenomenal off their bench. They got Troy Morton in the offseason. They've had guys internally. They want to win and keep winning, and that's what a winning franchise does. So for the Phillies, for National League East, the Braves are still the best team in the division. We're going to see. We'll see how it goes. Freddie Freeman is certainly going to be a hot commodity in the offseason. We'll see what happens with him and what his potential mega contract could be. And finally, in Dodger Stadium tonight, San Francisco leads 2-1. I do not know who's pitching for the Dodgers tonight, but they're down 1-2 right now. They have a lot of work to do tonight to stay alive and have a chance to go back and defend.
Pitching and defense was a meta last night for the Giants, Zach. Every game the Giants won in the series was a shutout. You can't do it all the time. Zach, I expect a big game from the Dodgers offense tonight. And Mookie Betts, I trust, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm going to say. Leave it up to him.
A lot of big games on that team. Of course, some injuries, but not always an excuse. One piece that they're missing, I don't want to touch on it too much, but Trevor Bauer has become slowly more vocal. That's going to be something to watch in the offseason. I don't know where that's going to go, but the culture of pitchers right now is not the best in Major League Baseball between the spider tag controversy. But we'll ignore all that for now. We'll enjoy the playoffs. They've been good so far. They're fast. They're faster than any other playoffs because they are best of 1, best of 5, best of 7, best of 7. So we'll see how it continues to play. Right now I have the Astros and the Giants in the World Series. I have the Astros winning in 6 games. We'll see how that goes. It will continue to progress.
Doesn't matter no more.
Gavin, of course, you didn't pick the Yankees, did you?
I had Yankees, Dodgers. I think I had Dodgers winning. Yeah. And then I switched it to Dodgers, White Sox, which, as you can tell,
also on life support.
All
right, it's always next year where the Phillies will be there. Just kidding. But in all seriousness, in all seriousness, we'll keep an eye on these games. By Thursday, we should have the NLCS and ALCS either started or at least set. We'll see how that breaks through. And in a couple of weeks, we'll be looking at late October baseball, which, of course, is the World Series. Joe Buck will be on the call as always. With that being said, NHL hockey starts tonight. The Seattle Kraken, their first ever game.
On ESPN, sir. On
ESPN for the first time in over a decade. I did not realize that they were not on for that long. They play against the Vegas Golden Knights. Other than that, browsing through some of the general sports news, Penn State losing this weekend to Iowa. They still have a chance given that Sean Clifford got hurt. Penn State's got to win out, and they got to beat Iowa in the Big Ten championship if Iowa is to make it to that. And I think they would make the playoffs. So Penn State fans, don't look down yet. They're ranked 7. Alabama losing to Texas A&M. They're back to 5. Again, they still have a chance, but there will be multiple teams in the playoffs with one loss this year. It is not a dominant year for any team. I don't think Georgia's overly dominant. I think they are the best team in college football. But there's still a lot to know. So it's nice in years like this where there's not true dominant teams like a Clemson and Alabama or an LSU, where you kind of know the top 3 teams are going to be fighting it out. So interesting take. Again, unfortunate for Penn State, but they're not out of it, and that's for sure.
Zach, my finals for the day is the WNBA finals have started with the Chicago Sky and the Venus Mercury. I want to go back to Friday, Zach, where I was actually really upset that the Aces, Zach, Asia Wilson, the Aces lost, heartbreaking shot. They lost by 3, and Diana Taurasi continues to show why she's the GOAT. But I got the Sky winning this. Okay, they're just playing phenomenal basketball. So Candace Parker's going to get it.
And it is the first time in over a decade that both the NBA team from a city and the WNBA team from the city make the finals the same year. Sparks and the Lakers did that in, I'll say 2009, if that sounds right, maybe a little earlier than that. And then, of course, this year, the Phoenix Suns also making it to the finals. Of course, they did not win. They lost to the Milwaukee Bucks, but
Tampa Bay almost made history. They could have made history if the baseball team went to the World Series and won. But
I know they got the Lightning, the Buccaneers, everybody. So it's fun in Tampa Bay right now. But yeah, Phoenix too. Phoenix has some good teams, minus the Cardinals, or not the Cardinals. The Cardinals are good, minus the Diamondbacks, and the rest of the teams are looking pretty good. But with that being said, that should about wrap it up. Not too much else going on in the sports world. I think we covered pretty much as much.
Spencer Rattler, we'll get on him next
time. As we can. Spencer Rattler, yeah, not a big fan, but I'll go on my rants on Thursday. That being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you all hanging around with us for the whole hour, and we will see you all later in the week.
Be kind, everybody. Have a good one.
Have a good one, everybody. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.